power in the verse can stop me. No power in the verse can stop me.
What's going on, guys? My name is Eldeniro and welcome to episode 48 of the Midnight Hour as we stumble towards episode 50, for which we should do something special. We don't really know what it's going to be. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comment section. Anything that has a lot of thumbs up or a lot of comments that say fuck yeah, this idea or whatever, we'll probably go with. My guest today, crawling out of the corpse of the old show that used to be a weekly thing we were just talking about, it is Jack, the captain of the Atlantis ship city.
Hello. Hello. The last time that this was actually a weekly show was over a year ago when I was at university, and I'm now back at university.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That just shows you how busy I was last year. I'm going to blame that. I'm going to blame the fact that I actually had to be an adult for a year and have a full-time job.
Yeah, and the thing
and then the fact that as soon as I finished my full-time job, somebody else on this podcast decided, I'm going to get a proper job.
God damn it, Loosemore. But yeah, no, he's talking about me. Yeah, it's bullshit, really, to be honest. I have to just work, like, all the time, you know?
Yeah, man.
Like,
being an adult sucks.
And you only get, like, a few days off every year. Like, you know, I mean, this isn't what I signed up for. You know? Like,
I know.
Movies have lied to me and given me an unrealistic representation of the amount of time off an adult gets. It's weird. The TV show Friends. Does anybody work? You know?
Oh my god. None of them work. I don't think any of them actually have jobs. I'm sure of it.
There's like
it's ridiculous.
One of the episodes, they're all sitting around the coffee table and like someone makes a joke like, oh hey, we're supposed to be in work, and then they all get up and run to work as if they forgot to go there, which is obviously a joke at the fact that in the show none of them actually work. But it's true, like, you know, fuck off with your...
And if that's what happens on weekends, like, they must have, like, does none of them ever just spend a weekend doing nothing? There's always some of it.
I know, yeah.
That must be so tiring.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. Like, TV is just lied to me my entire life.
TV is silly.
It's crazy though. I get
it's
up
almost
at 7.
It's almost as if it's fictional.
I know. I said that like Monica and Friends, actually. I know. But
no.
It's true. Like, I get up at 7 and I'm home at 7. Like, that's 12
7?
hours out of the day, you know? It's crazy.
And the other 12 you just want to sleep.
Yeah. I know. It's pretty hard. It's pretty difficult. Gonna see if there is another guest who wants to join us, because I just got a Skype message.
That could be sight.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the the other person on the podcast, it's Loosemore.
Hello.
Yeah.
How late am I, by the way?
Dude, we're like 46 minutes in.
Yeah, we're literally just about
So
to
I'll
finish.
miss all the really good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Damn.
did. We spoke about you, and that was the topic. The topic for this week is just Loosemore.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you had a really good time.
What I love about this is
Yeah.
that, like, me and Jack we've been in a call for 24 minutes, like,
Yeah.
building up what we're going to talk about and everything, and you just turn up. You have no idea what this episode is about. You've just turned up to join us.
Doesn't matter. I'm in.
It absolutely does not. It's great.
To be honest, do any of us really know what's going on with any of these calls when we start them?
Does anyone know what's going on with our lives? Like,
Well, last
No,
week we didn't have any topic going into the podcast, and we still managed to talk for an hour and a half about
about some
I'm not
very
sure what
real
we talked
shit.
about. Yeah, we did actually. Yeah.
It was a good
Yeah.
episode. It's a shame the audio fucked up on it though, and also nobody listened to it. So those things really
It's
went
got like
against
what? How
it.
many? 1,700 listens or something like that.
It's
not even that.
no,
but-
it's like 1,400, I think.
Yeah.
1460 or something last
3
time.
team?
3
13.
11 330.
Yeah, that many.
Yeah.
I just remembered, and I know this happened to me like 2 hours ago, right? But I got on the bus. I get this 6 o'clock bus home from town to Swords, and I was just sitting there listening to my music, and this woman taps me on the leg, and I looked up and took one earphone out, and she was like, "I just found out that the father of my children is gonna be dead in a few months," and I was like,
That's the kind of situation where you just kind of put the headphone back in and pretend you didn't even hear. Just
Wait, why
Yeah.
did she tell you that?
I
Did
don't
she
know,
just pick
man.
you
like,
randomly out of the people on the bus?
she had tears in her eyes, so she just found out that information and she did not know how to process it. So,
No.
Right.
like, she started telling
How
me
did
everything.
you process that information?
I spoke to her for the whole journey. There were lots of awkward silences and just me being like,
yeah,
I don't know what to say. Because what do you fucking say? Do you know?
nah. I would have been so like I would have had the most awkward conversation with her, and then felt really bad when it came time to get off my bus and just waited for her to get off first. How far it took me, I'd have just been sat there going, "Yeah, well, I'm not going to leave this woman because that'd be really mean."
Yeah.
I didn't want to go
Yeah,
home
yeah.
tonight anyway. Really, I mean, who does?
It
At
got
the end
to
of the
my
day.
stop and I was like, she was in the middle of talking. I was like, "Oh, this is my stop. I have to go." And she was like, "Oh, well, thank you very much." And I was like, I hope that you get some good news soon." Like, so I said something like that, and
Yeah,
and she was like, "Oh, thank you," or whatever. But I spent the whole time being like, I don't know. She told me she was doing some course about computers, so I started talking to her about computers, like to try and not talk about death, because as I mentioned in the last episode, I am just always thinking about death all the time now, because in my job I look at death certs every day and I see death certs from like kids and stuff like that, and it's terrible. And then like this woman tells me this story, and it's just like I felt like at first I was like, oh god, this is like really, I just cannot get away from death. And then I thought, why am I only thinking about me here? This is really not I am the one with the least problems
yeah.
right now in this situation. And then I started to feel bad about the fact that I was being so selfish and stuff, and then I just got on with it. But I think most people would actually feel that and just not think about it as in depth as I don't know, it was crazy. But yeah, I thought I would share that with everybody. Random
I
tale
love
from
the start.
the bus. Yeah.
Well, weird that she picked you out on the bus though. Like that's strange, isn't it? Or were you just the first person she saw?
She sat next, like it was a full bus, and she just
Right.
happened to sit next to me. So I guess she
Oh,
looked at me and thought, yeah,
he's as good a person as any.
yeah.
Yeah.
I should have just replied like, "K."
Yeah. Me no speak English.
But yeah, pretty. It was pretty intense because like I need my bus journeys to unwind and listen to like music. But yeah, that whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that I wish it didn't happen. I'm just saying it was a difficult thing at that time of the day, but not half as difficult as what she's going through right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
I'm sure
sucks.
your bus journey was tough, but yeah.
Yeah. No, man, you have no idea. But yeah, I wish her all the best and hope it's not as bad as she thinks it is right now. So the topic we were going to talk about was traveling, because let's face it, traveling's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
Sure.
like
And,
travelling on buses.
One of us has a recent experience of that.
oh stop! It was just to work.
Yeah, it was just a
I
bus
know,
ride.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good place to start. I was going to say, Loosemore, give me 10 sentences about travelling, but I
Like a
10,
punishment.
exactly. Oh, okay,
Being
I'll
late.
give you 8. I'll give you 8 sentences.
Meet you halfway and give us 9.
But yeah, Jack, you went to Canada by yourself. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you basically said that you wanted to go there ever since you were 5, and then go.
Yeah, I wanted to go there ever since I was 5. So at the end of last year, after working as a minimum wage slave and living with my parents and saving as much as I could, I decided to spend 3/4 of what I'd saved, which was about $4,000, on this month-long solo trip to Canada and part of the US.
And would you recommend travelling alone?
If you are personable, confident, and male, yes.
So that's basically not me, not Loosemore, not any
No,
of the
yeah,
demographics.
we're not going to do that. No.
Well, no, because a month alone gets very depressing very quickly. You've really got to be up for talking to people, and you've really got to be open to having a conversation with almost absolutely anybody that you come across.
Yeah.
Because I was sleeping in hostels. I was staying, in hostels. I was trying to keep my budget as low as possible, but just so I had more money to do things rather than spend on food. So I wasn't going out to eat. I was cooking in the kitchens that the hostels had. So you talk to people in the kitchens. If the hostel has a bar, you talk to them there. You're sleeping in a dorm with 6, 8 other people. You talk to them. You've really just got to throw yourself out there. And I am self-proclaimed a hater of other people. So it really kind of took me out of my comfort zone to not just be alone for the month, basically.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's how to do it, I guess. I've always had just fantasies and ideas of going traveling by myself, but I'm I don't know. It's weird because I go to England. Well, not so much anymore, but I used to go to England a lot, and one of my favourite parts of that is going on a train by myself and just head out the window, not out the window, but looking out the window with headphones in is probably one of the greatest feelings in the world when you're on a train. But I don't know. I just can't imagine going somewhere with no particular objective other than some sort of, personal journey thing. I would never go explore something by myself, and I don't know why I don't have that compulsion. Or it's I actually do, I feel it, but I don't ever act on it because it's too intimidating or scary for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was 5 years ago now. I, as part of a school kind of thing, I self-funded a trip to. There was 12 of us plus 3, 2 teachers and 1. He was ex-SAS, but he was employed by this thing called World Challenge. And if anybody that's listening has a chance to do World Challenge, I recommend it. I recommend it to absolutely everyone and anyone that will listen to me. But basically, we funded this thing, and we went for a month to Ecuador, where we did 2 weeks of hiking, a week of charity work, and a week of rest and relaxation, where we did zip lining, whitewater rafting. We had some time in the capital, Quito, which I believe is the second highest capital city in the world.
Fuck.
In terms of altitude. Not just 420 blaze it. But yes, seriously, this it's about 2.5 kilometers above sea level. So as soon as you get there, kind of you step out of the plane, it's depressurized, and already just walking around is kind of you're going, because there's a lot less oxygen at that kind of height. So you're walking around going, and you've just stepped off the plane. You're not going anywhere. You're not running. You're not jogging. You're not doing anything. You're walking on level ground, and you're kind of going, what the fuck? And
I'm
then,
that anyway on my walk to work.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
Fuck doing
Slight
that.
incline and all that. Yeah. But yeah, that's what really kind of got me wanting to go and do this trip. So I went to Canada with the sole purpose of doing a lot of hiking. I went to a place called Banff. It's quite well known as a ski town. But they've got it's in the middle of in the middle of the Canadian Rockies, in the middle of the Banff National Park, and it's the most visually stunning place I've ever been.
Really?
I don't think I'm too bad with the camera, but none of the photographs I've taken I think do it justice. It's seriously the most ridiculously attractive part of the world I've ever been to.
Well,
Admittedly, my experience is kind of limited at the moment, but
it sounds more vast than the two of us, anyway, like the rest of us in this call. I don't know. I can't speak for Loosemore.
Well, yes. Well, I've been to France.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah, that's
Where?
it. I've been to France.
What country is
Yeah,
that in?
yeah. Well, it's it's part of the Europe. Europe. We call it Europe. Yeah.
Country Europe, yeah.
Never heard of
I don't know
it.
if any of you guys have been to Europe, but it's not worth going.
It's a good country
That's it.
this time of year.
Yeah, it's a bit far off for me.
Yeah, no, I won't go. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
but-
crazy that you even went alone. I went to France with other tens of other people. 10 is that you can say that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
but-
tens.
You went to
There are many
Canada
of
alone.
us.
Yeah, Jesus, that's insane. Like, I was scared to go to France, and that was with lots of it.
It's surprisingly common. I met quite a few people out there. There's plenty of people out there that were doing things alone because, like me, no one that they knew had the time or the money to do it when they wanted to do it. So they also decided, well, why can't I just do it alone? I mean, I can understand maybe like if I was going to Africa or Asia, then it would be a really big deal me going alone because I have no idea how to speak any of the languages. Canada, I speak English. It's part of the Commonwealth. It's at the base of it, it's
true.
really not that different.
Yeah, I do get
You
that
know.
for sure. Like, Canada's never
No,
really
I'd-
intimidated me. I always felt like I would be welcomed there and like I would feel at home
Yeah.
there.
Because it's part of the Commonwealth. Yeah, it's great. So I landed in Canada, and obviously they can still turn you away if they don't like you. They've got no obligation to let you in. So this guy was sat there, passport control or whatever it was, and he was going, "Who are you here with?" And I was like, "I'm alone." And he was like, "You're alone?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "How long are you here for?" And I was like, "A month." And he was like, "Why are you here alone for a month?" And I was like, "Because none of my friends could afford it." And he was like, "So why could you afford it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't deal drugs." I was there for about, how passport control, they usually look at your passport. They used to stamp it, they don't anymore, but they used to look at it and just maybe ask you one question and let you go. I was there for about 10 minutes, him asking me these questions, repeating questions, checking that I wasn't lying.
Jesus.
I had to show him all of because I printed out all the documents that I needed, so like my reservations for hostels, my flights. So I had to show him proof that I was planning on flying back to the UK, proof that I was a student in the UK starting a university course in September, which I'm doing now, proof that I had somewhere to stay for the first week, and there was how much cash I had on me, and if I had a contact that could wire me more money if required.
Jeez.
And I experienced it firsthand. I've seen it in Vancouver and in Calgary. The homeless problem in Canada is ridiculous. I've
Really?
never seen homeless people in my entire life.
Wow.
Like, when I say, you walk around London and you'll see one or two homeless people, begging, sitting in doorways on the side of the streets. But when I was in Vancouver, I went down past a part of the town called Gastown, and what I tended to do while I was there was I just go out with an aim to go somewhere, and then I just walk and see where it took me. Just go wherever seemed interesting, and that usually paid off fairly well. But I went too far in the wrong direction, past Chinatown and past wherever this Gastown was, and literally for 2 of these city blocks, I couldn't walk on one side of the street because there was just homeless people.
Fuck.
It was just homeless people.
That's crazy.
It was unreal. And it was like that for 2 square blocks.
Jesus.
So, I turned around and left.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
That's the thing to do.
But yeah, and then in San Francisco, it was the same problem. And I've spoken, and people have, kind of said since that all of the homeless people that I saw in America, none of them in England seem kind of outwardly crazy. They don't speak to themselves. They don't kind of, have hand twitches or anything like that. But all of the ones in America that I saw were outwardly mental. They had a mental
Really?
disorder. Yeah. Talking to themselves, shouting to themselves. Like, there was a guy, I was walking down Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, and white guy, big grey beard, kind of obviously homeless, walks past, and I can hear him from quite a way. He was shouting, fucking niggers, murdered my daughter, fucking niggers this, niggers that. Like, black people are walking past, looking at him like, what the fuck? Like, and he's going, murdered her with a pipe. They murdered her with a pipe. I'm going to take that pipe, I'm going to murder those niggers. Like, and I was just walking past like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's scary.
Like, and that's not even like, you know, that was obviously an extreme example of what was happening. But yeah, there's a lot of people muttering to themselves, and people have said, you know, well, it's because they don't have a nationalised healthcare. You know, they don't have the support system for, you know, the mentally the mentally impaired.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, scary to think.
That's crazy about the. I was gonna say that was gonna be my next point, was that the healthcare in the UK is a lot better than in America, obviously.
Yeah.
And obviously there's more access to it for people who find themselves in that position. But I was thinking, like, and I think this every time. Dublin as a county is one of the smallest counties in Ireland, but the city is by far like bigger than any other city in Ireland.
Yeah.
And I'm there a lot. I spend a lot of my time there. When I go to work, sometimes I get the bus down. It goes like through the port tunnel down by the docks, so it's really cool when I get that bus because I'm in town in 20 minutes and I just go across the bridge to work. And all in all, it's like a 40-minute journey. But sometimes I can't get the express bus, so I have to get this bus that goes. It drops me in the centre of town, and I have to walk along the quays down to my work.
Yeah.
And where I work, is like it's where Facebook and Google are and all.
Oh wow!
So it's a really, really built up, and it's basically a business district in Dublin. I remember, like, there's these benches there. It looks out over a canal. It's lovely. There's these like marble stone benches everywhere for people to sit on. There was one Wednesday, someone left a glass of water, like an actual glass of water from one of the bars on it. It was still there on Friday. Like, nobody took it and broke it, or, you know, like, someone was like, oh, that's someone's glass, I'm gonna leave it. So it's all really, really well built up. But I walk down the quays there, and I walk home, I go up the quays. Sometimes on a Friday I'll go to one of the pubs in town, which I walk a little bit further along the quays than I usually would, and the amount of homeless people I see who are not, I wouldn't say crazy, not in the American TV crazy, like God is coming to judge us all kind of way, but definitely like substance abuse and alcohol abuse induced level of craziness, and I see it a lot. And every time I'm out in Dublin City at night time, I see crazy shit all the time. Like, there's always people, and it makes me think, like, obviously cities, there's just more crazy people in cities because there's more people in cities, full stop. And it's really intimidating and stuff. And you see it on American TV all the time, like the typical long grey beard, long jacket, saying incoherent nonsense and stuff. And it's scary. It's a scary thing to think about. It's like an aspect of travelling that I hadn't even previously considered, I suppose. Ultimately, it's really sad and stuff that people end up in that situation. But I do wonder if the healthcare has something to do with that.
I think so. Like, you know, I never felt particularly unsafe. The only time I felt unsafe, I never felt unsafe as a direct result of a human. I did feel unsafe having seen. I was walking. I'd met a few people on my first day actually in Canada when I was in Banff, and I wanted to do this hike in a place called the Cascade Amphitheatre, which is, it's, you know, you hike up. It takes about 4 hours to get there. Yeah. It's an 8-hour round hike, and you hike up and you literally come out from the top of the tree line to this big rock where there's loads of waterfalls and it's this natural amphitheatre. So and they were saying, because in Canada and America, they have restrictions in the national parks on the trails that you can hike during certain seasons because of the bears.
Oh yeah.
So if the area is known for a lot of bears, there's no one there to stop you, but they say just don't hike unless you're in a group of 4 or more.
Mm.
So we'd set off as a group of, there were 6 of us. And all 5 of them were going to be, the 5 other guys were going to be camping further along from where I was going overnight. So it got to the point where we were splitting ways, and I was going to be going alone for the next 4 hours. But thankfully, one of them decided that they couldn't hack the rest of the hike out to where the other lot were going, so they came back with me. So, but that was a potential 4 hours where I was going to be alone in the middle of I was Canadian outback essentially. No signal on my phone. I had something called bear spray, which is it's like industrial pepper spray.
Oh shit.
And I had my hiking poles, water, and some food, and that was it. And that was me. And it was going to be me walking through bear country. There are wolves as well, and moose is always a possibility.
Jesus.
But that was the only time I was ever really scared. We were walking along, and when there's 4, 5, 6 of you, you're all talking. You walk, with one other person, and then you two talk, and you split into 3 groups of 2. You're all chatting away,
Yeah.
and then you mix up and getting to know one another because we'd only met the couple of days previously. But then it gets down to 2 people. And you've already spoken to this person for 4 hours.
Yeah.
There's nothing really more to say. You keep the conversation going for a couple of minutes at a time, and then there's silence while someone thinks of something else to say.
Yeah.
And there's no pressure to say anything, but it's just nice to talk while you walk.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So when you're not talking, when you're not actively talking, the recommendation is that every couple of minutes you shout, so that the bears and any dangerous wildlife can hear you coming, so that they won't be startled by you and attack from fear that you've suddenly appeared in front of them.
Yeah.
So it was a really kind of every now and then kind of thinking, all right, I need to shout really loudly right now because to let black bears, grizzly bears know that I'm coming.
Black bears are the ones that'll fuck you up, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's black bears that was the biggest threat.
Oh shit.
So, yeah, that was the only time I was ever really kind of on edge.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, this is what I was saying earlier about being, fairly confident male. And, because if I was a small female, I wouldn't, have the guts to go out in the evenings and go out at night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just naturally more dangerous.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I hate that we live in a world where that's the case.
That's the case. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's incredibly unfair, but
people don't know that,
that's the reality of the world.
Yeah, girls are brought up to, not listen to headphones when they're by themselves and stuff like that. Not to go out at night or whatever. I don't know, I can't... It really is one of those things that I've always dreamt of doing, but just don't have the courage to go out by myself. And it's not even even to go back to the very start of the podcast, me talking to that woman on the bus, I wasn't panicking or anything in that situation. I'm very, very comfortable at talking to people, and I'm very good at talking to people. I think I definitely have the capacity to have a conversation about anything with anyone.
Yeah.
Because I read a lot, and I have a great interest in most, or not a great interest, but at least some level of interest in most things. But I still just can't see myself wanting to do that. I think sometimes I feel like I've moved house so many times in my life that I've just met so many people that I'm tired of making an effort.
Yeah, you got it out of your system.
Yeah, I feel like I always have this thought in my head that everyone that I meet, it's always temporary, you always say you'll keep in touch, but it's so hard sometimes when, obviously, life is, you don't have all the time in the world and stuff like that. But I'd like to know what Loosemore thinks about everything we just discussed.
No, I agree, and I think that Tibet should be free.
I got into the toilet real quick, by the way. Sorry.
Alright, cool. So, this is only ever going to be a 2-man podcast, even though we have 3 people on it. For those that don't know, Loosemore dropped out of the call about 15 minutes ago, so he hasn't been here for that entire time. Yeah, Jack was telling us about his time in Canada by himself, and I was saying it's something that I would love to do. Like,
I think same here, but I just don't have the I just don't know. I think like ideally you'd like want to go all over America and places like that. Maybe not by yourself, but I think that's something I would love to do. I just don't think I'd cope by myself. I think I'd end up like rocking in a corner listening to like Kenny Rogers music or something, you know.
Kenny Rogers.
It's in America. I couldn't think of it. I like trying to think of a like Dolly Parton or something.
Kenny Rogers, of all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to like drive through a desert or something.
Yeah, like the whole just not necessarily Vegas, but that whole desert, that Nevada thing.
Yeah.
Like that's just looks cool, doesn't it? You know?
That's like when Jack was talking, he said like it's bear country, and I was just thinking like, oh well, you can't go out there, it's back country. Thinking of that drive that they do in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That drive. Yeah, drive through the desert would be pretty sick, I think. Because it's just open road. But then a lot of people would find that boring, I guess. I'd find that really enjoyable. Like, if you had like an automatic transmission car and a really good soundtrack, that would be fun for me. I think. But I just don't know how to work the clutch on a car, so that's why I think that.
That's just why the automatic's better.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, literally is. I would pass a test in an automatic car, definitely.
There's actually a couple of shows that I've watched recently. They were from 2004 and 2007 respectively. They're on the UK Netflix at the moment. But they're it's with Ewan McGregor and one of his friends, Charlie Borman.
Is that The Long Way Round? Or...
Yeah, The Long Way Round, and the second
one's
one's The Long Way Down. Yeah, they're on bikes. But those are great to watch.
Yeah.
Those are, I've been binging on those for the last couple of days, and those are great fun to watch. Just watching, kind of seeing all these things that they're seeing, but then, from the comfort of your own home. It's great.
Did you ever see the Rob Brydon Steve Coogan show where they go?
Oh, what, The Trip?
Yeah.
I've been meaning to watch it.
Like
I've seen a couple excerpts from it.
It's really good. Really,
my
really
favourite part is when they're in the restaurant. They're doing dueling Michael Caine impressions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen that one, but I haven't seen the whole of the show.
No, it's really good.
It's good, yeah. Nothing to do really other than the loose thing with travel, the loose connection with travel that it has, and nothing really to do with what we're talking about. But the bikes thing is pretty cool. Motorbikes are pretty cool anyway. Like, people who drive motorbikes are infinitely cooler than people who don't. So they've got that going for them.
Especially if they smoke as well. I mean, if they smoke and drive motorbikes.
If they've tattoos and piercings.
Yeah.
I mean,
And wear leather jackets, exclusively leather jackets everywhere.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Leather jackets are great. I have one. Nah. You
I
guys
have
are
3.
losers. Yeah, I know. Loose boy, you're a loser.
Yeah.
So going through bear country would be terrifying. I can't imagine like enjoying that as a person, because it would be scary.
Yeah, it was made slightly worse by the fact that we came to we were walking past a tree, and we were with this Italian guy, and he went up and he looked at a tree, and we were all like, "What are you looking at?" And he was like, "It's warm." And we were like, "What do you mean it's warm?" And he was like, you see where it's been, the bark's been scratched, and you see all the pile of sawdust on the floor. We were like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Bear scratchings. Bears have done this." And I was like, "So it's warm because it was done recently?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's been done recently, like within the last hour." I was like, "Right, let's keep walking. Let's just not hang around by their favourite scratching post."
So did you actually see a bear in the time you were in bear country?
Nope, didn't see a single fucking bear. Not a single one.
You sound disappointed.
It's debatable whether it's bear country then, really. I mean, you went to a place known as bear country.
Yeah,
not a single bear.
A single
Crazy.
bear. No, I did see a wolf though, but that was while I was on a bus, so it's not particularly exciting.
Was the wolf on the bus, or you were on the bus and the wolf was outside?
It was actually the driver. It was the driver. It was driving the bus.
Ah,
Canada's a strange place.
Canada's a weird place.
I was gonna what was I gonna say there? I had a thing that I was gonna say. Balls. Forgotten.
We're so good at podcasts.
I know, like this is
Yeah.
definitely the best one
So
so far.
we're so good at segues. Yeah,
Um,
segue.
I've always thought that it would be really cool to, in some action movies where the action hero has gone crazy and he is now a hermit, he lives by himself, you'll never tempt him back into the business, and he lives
yeah.
in some icy cabin in fucking Alaska or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fucking the movie Insomnia with Robin Williams and Al Pacino. Is that what it's called? Insomnia? The Chris Nolan movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's Sumner, isn't it? Yeah.
The setting for that movie looks really, really cool. Like I would love to live in like a small fishing town like that for like a couple of weeks where it's really, really cold all the time,
Yeah.
and you have to stay warm and like build a fire and watch.
That's
lots
got
of...
me thinking about the. Is that a spoiler alert if we talk about the end of Breaking Bad?
I was gonna talk about that as well.
Because that's kind of similar, sort of, isn't it? He kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Walt goes and lives in a cabin by himself. Yeah, and he's got like that little.
He becomes a lumberjack. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, he lives with Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
I watched Southpaw.
Except there was no
recently.
snow.
You guys seen Southpaw?
The boxing movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it. It's meant to be okay though, isn't it?
It's like a 6 out of 10 at the most. But there's a thing in it that really pisses me off. That's a spoiler, so I can't talk about it. But I was going to talk about it when we're done. But if you guys haven't seen it, then never mind. But
Well, we can talk about it anyway and just say. Is it a massive spoilery thing?
No, I mean it's just a. It's one of those things that we'll talk about it after.
I mean, I assume the movie's essentially like Rocky, though, isn't it? Like he's a bit shit at boxing, something happens, then he becomes quite good at boxing, then something else happens, and then he ends up winning.
No, he's amazing at boxing at the start.
Oh, well, it's the other way around then. Does he become shit at the end?
He gets progressively worse throughout the movie, and
Right.
the montage actually shows him devolving as a human being. And by the end of it, he's just falling over when he walks downstairs. It's crazy.
Oh, it's like the reverse Rocky movie then.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not. None of them actually acted in it. They just superimposed Jake Gyllenhaal's face onto the body of Sylvester Stallone and just ran Rocky in reverse. It was pretty lazy, but they managed to make a good movie out of it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I would love to live in a really small, cold place for a while. Even just like somewhere in like Sweden, because of what TV has shown me that Sweden is. Like the girl with the dragon tattoo. They move out to that crazy house in the middle of nowhere. Like that's cool. I like all of that. Like the snow, it just looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's because it's coming into winter now, though, and it's getting darker earlier, and you just think to yourself like, oh well.
I think that ideally you want that like sort of simple life, don't you? Like I do anyway. Like you go to work, you come back to the cabin, and it's snowy and cold. But I think after a while I'd be like, I miss Wi-Fi, or I miss.
Do you know what I think? It's actually a yearning for, like, not like the internet not being a necessity in your life.
Yeah.
The fact is, I would go back to my cabin and do the exact same thing that I'm doing right now, which is sitting at a desk with 2 computers on it, and like Twitter feeds and fucking Spotify playlists and stuff like that, and it just completely takes away from this idyllic thing that I'm going for. But for some reason, that's just the thing that's on my mind. I don't know what it even is. Like, we've kind of spoke about this even before on the podcast. Just the want to live a certain way of life temporarily, just because it might be better. I don't know. I think like having a lot of variety in your life is the way to make it the most enjoyable. Like, so it would be cool to have like little things that you could do. That's why like rich people have houses in loads of different places, because they can like that. I
think like you're saying about the cabin and stuff like that, living in the cabin. I think it'd be wicked to have a go at kind of living for a couple of weeks, just based on whatever you can kind of catch, or like you live near a stream or near the ocean, whatever you can fish, whatever you can find, whatever you can find, you live off,
Like
I think that'd be really cool.
Chris McCandless.
What?
You know the guy from the movie Into the Wild? Well, the book Into the Wild.
Oh yes, sorry,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yes, sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
what
with
you
you.
said didn't make much sense. I was like, what? Is he
I was
saying
like,
that?
what? Why are you chatting about Christmas candles?
It was a
Yeah,
low
that's
key.
exactly
Christmas
what I
candles,
thought.
like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is going on?
It was a low key name drop, like to be. Yeah, I guess.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of who you mean. But yeah,
Yeah.
he really did some stupid shit with that one.
Yeah, he
Like, didn't tell anyone where he was going. Mistake number one, and then just left without any. Like, he ditched all of his food or something like that because he wanted to hunt it instead,
yeah.
which is just ridiculous.
He didn't really know what he was doing either.
No.
I
and
think
then
it's really funny the way people analyze that movie, like the way different personality types analyze it. Like,
Mm.
if someone has never ever had a depressive episode in their life, they will look at that movie and go, "Oh, this guy's a fucking idiot. Why would he do any of this? Like, this is fucking ridiculous," and have no sympathy whatsoever. Whereas people who have experienced depression would be like, "Ah, man, like he was really brave to do what he did. Like, fair play to him for trying," type thing. And it's funny, like it's always those two complete extremes, like with either side. I think I kind of respect him for. I guess he wasn't really in a place where he could rationalize enough to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, and that's why.
Yeah, make intelligent decisions.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was pretty obviously unhappy, wasn't he? Like.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I find it very hard to be angry or criticize.
But yeah,
somebody.
if well, I mean, if he had wanted to stay alive, then the number one rule of when you're going out into the wilderness alone is
do not
let
talk about Fight Club.
yeah, don't talk about Fight Club.
That's
And then the
rule
number two
one, yeah.
rule is also don't talk about Fight Club. And then rule 3 is set up a wilderness fight club with a tree and a rock.
Yeah, weird how rule
Yeah.
number 3 is the most important one out of all of them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I know,
yeah,
yeah.
you'd be surprised.
That will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think of like really scenic landscapes and stuff like that, and associate it with certain songs and a certain time of year, and just think that would be really, really cool to live in a place like that. Like, I don't know. I really like the way smaller towns are portrayed on American TV as well. And it's funny because I've lived in 2 small towns, and I lived in a fishing town in Ireland, a really small fishing town by the port, which was a fucking nightmare. I hated it. Because everyone knew everyone. I hated all the teachers in school. Like, it was pretty horrible. But I just have the idea that if you don't know anyone, I don't know. I tend to do better in situations where I don't know people. Like, I think I thrive better because of what you were saying, Jack, in that it just brings out the kind of need to talk to people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, a weird honesty, almost,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was like there's absolutely no need to lie about who you are, and if you want to lie, if you want to pretend for a night that you do fencing in your spare time, then feel free, because fuck it, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
You're only going to know them for a couple of days. Like, the longest I was in one place was I was in the start and end of my trip. I was in Banff for 5 days, and I was in Portland for 5 days. And those are the 2 longest stints that I had anywhere. The rest of it was all 2 days here, 3 days there, and 4 days in San Francisco.
That's really cool. Have you ever like traveled by yourself in England? Like, just gone somewhere by yourself just to see what it's like?
No.
Really?
Nope.
See, I kind of get the feeling like I would love to do what you've done, but just start out slow and like get the train to Cork next weekend by myself. And
I don't know, because I find that there's this kind of
Something less romantic about going to somewhere.
yeah,
like
that's
that, isn't there?
that is what it is. There's this romantic idea of how because I've been, like I said, I've been thinking about going to Canada since, and I've been dreaming of going to British Columbia specifically since I was about 5. So that's a good nearly 20 years, 17 odd years of yearning.
I was just
I'm
about
I'm
to say
trying to do
you
the
were
maths
you were
at an
not
age.
You're not
17
17.
years old.
Whoops.
If you're
just
17,
put
there
up
is no hope for any of us.
Yeah. But yeah, it was something I'd been yearning for and dreaming about since I was 5, and like I always, and I really enjoy landscape photography, but no matter where I've been in the UK, and I've been to the Lake District, I've been to the Peak District, none of it ever compares to the pictures that I'd seen of British Columbia.
Yeah.
And So it's like, yeah, I've got family in Carlisle, I could go up to the Lake District and go camping there for a few days, you know. But it's not got this romantic idea of saying goodbye to my parents and just having, you know, putting my life almost into a large rucksack and a slightly smaller rucksack.
Did you
That for a month.
Did you listen to a lot of music?
No, actually, that was really tough for me actually, because I didn't take my iPhone, I didn't have an iPod, and I didn't particularly want to spend money on one either, or an MP3 player, because I mean, I took my iPad with me. Funnily enough, saying that I didn't take my iPhone, took my iPad with me because it was really useful to use. Still be able to use iMessage, like, you know, FaceTime my parents, my girlfriend, stuff like that. But I didn't really listen to any music while I was out there. It was weird walking along, and you know, like, it's really nice when you're out hiking in the middle of nowhere and all you can hear is
the sounds
nature
around you. Yeah,
like, there is nothing. There is silence.
Yeah.
Like, and it was wonderful. I was lucky enough to see a few. What was important, I was lucky enough to see a few of the meteors in the Perseid meteor shower as well.
Oh, nice.
Well, that was really quite nice as well. But yeah, it was a hell of an experience.
What's Portland like? I hear it's quite a cool
Portland's
place.
a really nice, a really cool little town. A town. It's a city. It's massive. What I'm on about. I went
Europe
to.
is a really nice town.
Yeah,
check it out.
Europe's a really nice little county. But yeah, like there's a bookstore called Powell's City Books, and it's fine. And I loved it there. I spent about 2 hours walking around this bookstore because it's 5 stories of, like, not just 5 stories, there's 5 books. There's 5 floors of books, and each floor is categorised with coloured rooms based on different genres. And I spent about 2 hours just walking around looking at all these books. Just the sheer amount of books was wonderful.
Did you read anything while you were there?
Yeah, I grabbed a couple, sat down with a couple of books, you know, on a couple of topics. I read some books about filmmaking and some books about cinematography and photography while I was there.
That's pretty cool.
And had a look at some of the books, book about one of my favourite photographers, Ansel Adams, as well. But yeah, that was a really nice place, and it's just full of things like that.
Yeah.
And there was a little organic, the North American Organic Beer Festival was on while I was there, and I stopped by that, and you got a recyclable cup, and you went round and you had, you know, you paid say $10 and you got 10 tokens, and it was $1 for a taste, or it was a token for a taster of beer. And you know, everyone there is really lovely, really nice, willing to talk to you about all of their different craft beers, all the different types of beers they've got, stuff like that. And you know, they say we'll give you a taster, and really they just fill it up you fill up your cup most of the way every time anyway.
Oh, nice.
You know, it was just really nice to walk around, you know, taste all these different beers that I'd never get a chance to taste, because you know, in the UK all you get is the big European brands of beer and a couple of American ones, whereas in America, every beer, like everywhere, there's just different brands, different
type of
groups,
Budweiser.
just
They've
so many
got
different
Bud
types
Light.
of Bud Light, Bud Twist, Bud Lime,
Yeah.
Bud Extra Light.
It
you know.
truly is the king of beers.
Yeah, but yeah, like just so many different beers everywhere, and it was so nice to just have this ridiculously large choice of alcohol.
It's funny.
Yeah.
You're doing, like, in this episode, it's really, really nice to listen to and visualize what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, like, at that point, you were like, yeah, it was so nice. All the different types of alcohol they'd give you. And I'm just imagining you with a bottle in your hand, stumbling around like a zombie, and you've got blood on your knuckles, and you're like, fuck! You're like,
Just imagine,
God save the Queen.
you know the scene in Bruce Almighty where he runs down the line of children with that large jug of milk,
Yeah.
just pouring it absolutely everywhere. That was just me with just litres of beer, just Da-na-na-na-na.
2 World Wars and 1 World Cup.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does sound really awesome though. I'm definitely gonna go traveling. My girlfriend has been she used to work in Vietnam.
Oh, nice.
She's a physio, and she worked in Vietnam, and she's been to Thailand, and like she's just done loads of cool stuff that I've never done, and I feel so I don't know, like she always says that I'm like really intelligent and stuff. Like she's always really impressed by how much I know about things. And I think sometimes she feels like a little like just less intelligent than me. Like she's not, she's like really, really intelligent. But when she talks about the places she's been and the stuff that she's done and stuff like that, like I feel like really, really like less of a person. Like my experiences are just nothing like that. And it's really like I really want to improve that. Like I really want to change that. I really want to do cool things. I was actually looking at going bungee jumping quite recently, which is just
nice.
It's so unlike me. Like I'm so not like that, but there's just something in me that really like needs to do all of this stuff because I don't know. I guess I'm getting older and I've got so much perspective and things like that, and I don't know. It's like you have to, when you're an introvert, you have to like adapt to the extroverted world, and oftentimes that means acting like an extrovert. Like it means assimilating,
pretending.
Yeah, like lots of that. So I'm not saying I'm going to pretend to be interesting, but I definitely have a desire to, because I feel like once I do one thing, like that will be it. It will snowball from there, because that's generally how my life has worked so far. Like before I started the job that I'm in now, I was fucking terrified the night before. Like I couldn't even speak. I was so nervous, and I thought I was going to fuck everything up, but like I've fucking killed it in that job since I've been there. Like they've told me they want me to stay and stuff. Like I know that I'm really good at what I do, and it's sort of given me a lot of confidence to get out there a little bit more and you know, do things like that. So it's something I'm definitely going to be looking to do. And my girlfriend had this idea that we would both go traveling, but she would go somewhere and I would go somewhere else, and we would meet in the middle in like a week or two.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really cool idea, because you've always got that end goal if things aren't going very well. But you also have all that time in the middle to make fun things happen and sort of carve your own, blaze your own trail and do all of that stuff. So
where would you want to go though? Would you want to go to like Vietnam or stuff like that, or not?
Yeah, I'd like to go to Thailand. I'd like to go to Malaysia, and Indonesia as well. And I suppose this is as good a time as any to announce that I'm probably going to be moving to Singapore next year, so I will be in close proximity to all of these places. So it's really not going to hurt my ability to do that. But yeah, I definitely feel like, seeing as I'm probably going to be living in Asia next year, I'll be able to go and see all those places, and it would be stupid not to, because I've already taken the leap to, you know, go and move into a whole new culture. So I'm pretty terrified about that, to be honest. I haven't told many people. Like my mum knows, but the whole idea of moving there is terrifying me, and that's why I asked you lots of questions about doing stuff by yourself, Jack. Because I'm wondering what it was like. So
like I would wholeheartedly recommend anyone do what I did. Like I mean, you know, saying, you know, going to somewhere like Australia, somewhere Canada, somewhere like the US, English-speaking countries, even going through most of Europe, you know, they all speak English flawlessly.
The national in Singapore, they all speak English too. It's the official language there. So that's pretty good.
So, you know, go if you're like, you know. Another one of the reasons that I was more confident about going to Canada, like, you know, I had some family in Portland. That's who I stayed with in Portland. It's an English-speaking country. If you want to go to the Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand, you know, they speak English. Some of the Canadians speak it badly because they try and speak French. But it's really not that difficult when you can turn in any direction and you'll hear English.
Yeah.
You know, you could be in the middle of, some, there were times when, shortly after I crossed, I went to, obviously, I was in San Francisco for 4 days, and I went across the Golden Gate Bridge, and as I was on my way back across, I saw someone jump.
Shit.
That's a fairly, rocking experience. That really kind of throws you through a loop.
Fucking hell.
How did you cope for the rest of the day?
Yeah.
It was about 6:00, and I was on my way back to get a bus, but to get a bus back. But I kind of went into autopilot, and I can't imagine how much of a worse experience it would have been if I hadn't been able to speak the local language.
Yeah.
I suddenly, I felt very far from home.
Sure.
But kind of saw this guy kind of climb up over the rail, and my immediate instinct was to lean over the rail and look, and just kind of hearing the whipping of his jacket in the wind, and then kind of the sound of him hitting the water, and then not resurfacing. I kind of just went into autopilot. There were women crying, someone was on the phone with the police. They have a dedicated bridge guard or bridge police that come out and deal with those kind of situations. And I kind of just kept walking, and I kept walking to the point where I'd gotten on the wrong bus, and I was in the middle of God knows where in downtown San Francisco, and I had to kind of regroup, really kind of slow down and think about what I was doing, where I was, find a local bus map, and figure out my way back to my hostel. But yeah, it was a really jarring experience, and I asked for directions from a couple of people, and God knows how I would have dealt with it if it wasn't in an English-speaking country.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
you probably didn't have time to process it though. Sure, you probably ended up doing the right thing, I'd imagine, because if you actually sat down and processed it, you could have been there like.
I kind of ended up sitting down at the end of the day. I kind of while I was lost, I saw a liquor store, and I thought, we'll see what kind of beer they've got. So I stopped and picked up some beer while I was on the way back, as well. And just sat down for a couple of hours when I got back, and just thought, there's a lot of thinking that went on that afternoon, that evening. But yeah, that was, that is a really extreme example, and there was plenty of other experiences. But when you're out travelling, you've really just got to roll with the punches and take what comes.
Yeah, definitely.
And just realise that things that you haven't planned for are gonna happen. Things that you've planned are gonna happen. Things that you haven't planned are gonna happen. Your worst nightmare. You could lose your passport. You could lose this or that. All of these things can happen, and they probably will, because the world's an infinitely random place. But that's just an extreme example of the fact that shit happens while you're out and about,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things that's keeping me on track with the whole moving to Singapore thing is that it's very safe. Like, it's basically the safest place in the world. Like, their crime rate is literally zero. Like, they have no drugs. It's the safest place in the world to walk around at night and stuff. And it's making me feel a whole lot more safe about the whole thing. But I think if it were a place like Vietnam or Malaysia that I was going to, I would feel like somehow a lot less secure about it, because I don't read all these statistics about how far ahead of the rest of the world those places are. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just feels like that.
One thing that you need to remember if you're going over that way is that at the age of 80, over last Christmas, my granddad spent a month in Vietnam and partly in Cambodia by himself at 80 years old.
Jeez.
he
So
did
if he
that.
can do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
come on,
That's
mate, sort it out.
Yeah, nah, like I've been talking to like I was in a taxi the other night and the driver was talking to like taxi drivers are great because you always
Oh, yeah.
learn something from them. Like even if you have a negative taxi experience where the driver is a massive racist, like you still learn like oh Jesus that person just doesn't get it like, but the driver was saying that he met his girlfriend when he was 13 and they're still together and they had just gone on a cruise to like the Caribbean and stuff like that, and he was talking about all the stuff he's done with his life and how his son moved to Australia when he was 24 and stuff, and I told him about the Singapore thing and like he basically ended like he started telling me loads of stuff like yeah my son was 24, he moved out to Australia, he got like the best thing in the world, and like he would end every sentence with so get the fuck over there, like what are you waiting for, why wouldn't you go, like that kind of thing. So it's like that's pretty I don't know, it's pretty reassuring to know that nobody so far has reacted like what the fuck are you going there for, like you know. I think realistically it's
Do you want me to say it now?
Yeah.
hold on, I have a new DM Loosemore, get the what the fuck you oh okay.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely exciting, but it's also terrifying because I don't know how easy it would be to find a job for me over there. I know they have like 2% unemployment, but I don't know how that relates to like expats and stuff. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna go and get a beer. So you guys keep all the talk of beer and liquor stores and craft beer festivals and stuff.
Craft beer festivals. It was great.
Yeah, you guys steer the ship.
Steelers. Oh, good lord.
Where do you want to go, Jack? Left?
Loosemore,
everywhere.
talk about your history of travel.
Oh, yeah. That one time I
Yeah.
went to France.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah, how'd that work out? You're not
I
French.
threw up
so
on the
that's
way
okay.
back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know whether that was
a
leaving
shame.
France that did it or entering England, but something about the journey really didn't agree with me, and I vomited everywhere. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess you just wanted that sheer pleasure of leaving France.
I think it was either that or the sheer pleasure of entering England. Yeah. I'm either a racist or well, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I've hardly been anywhere, to be honest. I mean, obviously I've been to places in England, like Yorkshire. I've been to Wales, which is
It's not racist if it's the French.
Yeah, that's true though, isn't it? I think that's the rule,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Which is basically a foreign country.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wales is basically a foreign country.
Yeah. Well,
So-
they have their own language.
Yeah, bloody
I mean,
foreigners.
they're the only country in the world that has like a mystical creature on their flag. It's a weird place.
Yeah, it's a weird place,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, I've been to France. I've been to.
Did you throw up on that bit?
One thing, I've now been, halfway across the world essentially. I haven't really been to European countries apart from France and Germany. I haven't even been to Wales. As a fun fact.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, never been to Wales. I've been to Ireland.
But you see,
I've made the
that's a
effort
lot
to
of
go to
people like romantically, like you said before. We don't associate going to places like Scotland or Wales as being sort of like. I'm sure there are lovely places in those countries that look fantastic and you can take a great photograph, but just romantically they're not the same as going to Japan or do you know what I mean? It's just
there's nothing exciting about Wales. Nothing.
And that's obviously not a true thing to say, but
yeah, they're great animals.
Yeah, yeah, I love Free Willy. No, was that dolphins? No, that was Wales, wasn't it?
That's what I came back to. Is there's nothing interesting about Wales. Loosemore, stop bringing animals into it.
Yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say, my mate Steve has been to a lot of really cool places, and he tells me lots of interesting stories, like from places that he's been, and that's something that I was considering if I wasn't going to Singapore or whatever. I would love to go on an American tour with Codaline.
Yeah,
I think that'd
be awesome.
It's really cool, like, because you get on a bus that takes you places, and I mean, I've seen them live about 200 times, so I wouldn't even have to go to the shows. I could go do my own thing or whatever for some of the shows, and I think that would be a pretty cool way of exploring the world and also just getting myself out there. But
yeah, that'd be wicked.
Yeah, because I went on tour with them in England, but like I know England, so it wasn't like exotic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just was what it was.
Yeah, exotic is the word, isn't it? Like I mean,
Mm.
I'm sure there are great places in like Bradford or whatever, but there's something about like even small towns in America that aren't particularly like places in Arizona or somewhere like that. They aren't particularly like well known. I'm sure they're like more to us. They seem more romantic places.
More interesting, yeah.
Very very much more interesting than say going to
Bradford.
Leeds or Wigan. Yeah.
Yeah, like you'll never hear an American person going, "Oh yeah, I've planned a trip to the UK. I'm going to." They'll say like they're going to London, maybe
Yeah.
Wales, probably Scotland,
Manchester,
like
something
Edinburgh.
like that, yeah.
Like Edinburgh's not even Scotland; it's just England 2.0 in a city.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I used to live in Scotland, and
Yeah.
Scotland's like one of my favorite places in the world. But yeah, Edinburgh is.
Yeah, they'll go to London, Edinburgh, and then maybe Dublin, and they won't go. They won't be going like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Norfolk for a while, and maybe pop up to Aberdeen."
Yeah. No,
But,
I mean, I'm close to Norfolk, and there's some lovely scenery, but
Yeah.
it's basically just fields. I'm
I
gonna
was
be honest.
Yeah.
You ever
Yeah.
go on? Yeah, you all do it. Like it's 3 a.m. You've nothing to do. You're on YouTube. Bill O'Reilly debating Marilyn Manson is in the related links, and you click it, and you're like, "Wow, that was like they're both cunts." Like, what else
Yeah.
is that? And then like you go through a stream of Bill O'Reilly videos, and you're like, "This guy is the worst person
This guy,
in the
yeah.
world." But I can't help but respect him because he believes what he's saying, and he's not actually an idiot. So I like that about him. I like that he. It doesn't fucking matter. It's nothing to do with liberal or Republican things here. But Bill O'Reilly was talking about his trip to Ireland, and I was like, oh yeah, classic. He's American. His last name is O'Reilly. Of course he's gonna fucking go to Ireland. And he was saying like he doesn't go to Dublin. Like he doesn't do any of that stuff. Like Temple Bar, don't need any of that. He went to Galway and did the Connemara walk thing. He saw the cliffs of Moher, went to the Burren in County, like all these really like scenic things. And I was like, Bill O'Reilly, my man, what a guy.
What a guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's done it the right way, and I respect him for that. Once again,
I think that is the sort of thing. If people were to come to this country, they probably would go to places like visit the countryside or the cliffs or like the places in like Devon or Cornwall or somewhere maybe.
Stonehenge.
Yeah, Stonehenge. More so than London is basically like any metropolis city, isn't it? It's,
Yeah.
It's a bit sort of like.
I'd argue to a point that London is unique.
I think
but-
London's extravagant. It's very extravagant.
Yeah, I've lived there all
I
my
guess,
life.
yeah.
I lived there all my life, so it's kind of just a bit like, oh yeah, there's a big wheel on a river, and that's about it, mate.
Yeah.
There's a big wheel on a river near a clock, and that's basically London.
I really don't get what people like about Dublin. Like,
Alcohol.
yeah, but like people go there and see all this stuff. I guess there's cool things, but it's not. It's really average in comparison with its neighbouring cities in the British Isles. I think. One place I'd love to go to is Tokyo. Like probably just for like a night or two though, because I think it would be. I find London very intimidating at times, and I think Tokyo would be that with the added language barrier. And even like in one of the earlier midnight hours, Jack, you brought up the point that like their alphabet isn't ABC. It's like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Squiggles.
Yeah, it's loads of paint splatters.
Wait, so it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
ABC, but they do have ABC,
It's-
but it's just translated, or they don't have ABC at all.
Oh yeah, good point actually. They have both, yeah, but
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, kind of fucked that one up. I'd love to go to the Jukai, the suicide forest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would just
Yeah, I was
love
talking to someone about that the other day, and they were like, "Why do you know that?" It's like, reasons.
Yeah. We've all been on the internet. Come on. Jesus.
Yeah.
Have you never
Come
been
on, guys.
sad?
Have you
As a
ever
tear
Googled
rolls
best
down your
places
face.
to commit suicide?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, like I mean, I like obviously I had the whole teen angst onslaught of depression that I think most introverted teenagers have had, but from a completely logical, healthy mind, like I would commit suicide there. It's a lovely looking spot.
I say
for it.
this without anybody. Please don't worry about me. But
Yeah.
Is this the most we've
Suicide.
mentioned suicide on the podcast?
No, because episode
Also,
49 is
not-
all about suicide.
Yeah. Possibly the most we've mentioned it in about a minute and a half. Yeah.
What are the dream places that you guys would like to travel? I think that's a good way of diversifying the topic a little bit.
Just get us away from suicide, really.
No.
No.
You didn't
So
let me
that's kind of
finish
my
the
fault.
question. What is the place in the world you would most like to visit and commit suicide in?
Well.
Yeah.
Let me think about
Both Wigan, I think.
that. Yeah. Bradford, maybe.
Um,
Just go somewhere that really gets me in the mood.
Yeah, gets me in the mood for suicide. Yeah. I don't know. I think the America thing would be cool. I think to go from west to east, or east to west doesn't really matter.
I think you would really like America, Lewis. I think you're very like on the pulse when it comes to American culture. Like I think you despise it and adore it in equal measures.
It's true, yeah. But then I do that, like I
Fits.
despise and adore things all the time. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, but you're one of the more, I don't know, you're very attuned to what's happening in America, I would say. I would say you keep up to date with American politics more than you do with British politics.
That's true, yeah. I mean, like pop culture as well. A lot of pop culture is more Americanisms than it is stuff. I'm also wearing a baseball cap backwards at the moment, so that's the thing. So
There's also a bald eagle perched on my shoulder right now,
Yeah.
smoking a cigar.
Yeah. I'm listening to Springsteen. But yeah, no, I think going from one side of America to the other and visiting, but not necessarily visiting like the main places, just to like visit small towns, and that would be very cool. I think, and parts of California as well. That I wouldn't necessarily go to Los Angeles. I'd go to the different counties, like Sonoma and stuff like that, because they just look fantastic,
And they make lots of weed.
And wine. Hello.
Hello. Classic.
But yeah, so that's something I think I'd love to do, but I don't think I could do it alone. I don't think I'd have to find someone who'd want to go. But yeah,
I think if I was travelling anywhere else, anywhere ever again, to be honest, if I was going on a decent length trip, I think I'd like to go with someone.
Yeah.
Specifically, my girlfriend is probably my first option, my first choice. But
Good answer.
yeah.
Thanks. She's listening. She's right behind me. I'm blinking rapidly, but you can't see it.
You said she's listening, and I was like, shit, we're not live. Like, I mean, for some reason I immediately thought, like, shit, I haven't checked the views. Did I even do an intro for this episode? I don't remember any of this.
I wasn't here.
I don't know. We've had to restart this about 4 times.
I
so
know,
I don't even remember.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Yeah, I think I think I would rather visit. Hey, have you guys seen the movie Monsters?
No.
So it's the guy who directed Godzilla. He directed it. It's from I think 2009. It was on a budget of just I think 400 grand. I think was the budget. It's really, really good. I think you'd really like it, Jack, because you studied film, and I think you would appreciate that they made that movie. I think you'd appreciate the techniques that they used and the tricks they did and stuff. But the movie is about, like, it's set to a backdrop of an Earth that's been invaded by aliens, but really it's about the people, and it's about relationships, and it's about stuff like that. It's literally just two people walking from South America back to the border, and it's, I don't know, there's something about it that's really captivating. I think, like, a lot of people comment on it and say most boring film ever, kind of like Lost in Translation, that sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's, like, I think a lot of the setting they actually used wasn't where it really was. I think they filmed in Brazil, but it was set in Mexico, that type of thing. But I would really like to go where that is, because there's one point in it where they just stumble across an old Aztec sort of monument, and I would love to see, like, the Aztec pyramids and all of the other things from that ancient world, like the Maya, like all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But more so, I think I'd like to see Canada, specifically the Canada that Jack saw, and then I'd like to go to Alaska. I would like to experience life in an Alaskan town for just a few days, like maybe like 4 days. I would just like to see what that's like. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just feel like those brutal temperatures and that kind of lifestyle is just really interesting to me. I don't know. I like the.
Would you not
idea.
want to go to like somewhere like Norway then, or something like that?
Yeah. Iceland's meant to be
Iceland,
amazing.
Iceland, actually, yeah, that's a huge one. I was gonna go there quite recently. I was gonna surprise my girlfriend with a trip to Iceland, but the tickets are very expensive, and they're very expensive all the time, it seems, which is quite annoying. I guess that's because of the economy there or something like that. But what else was I gonna say? There's this thing you can do at a certain time of year where you get on a plane somewhere in England, and it flies out to towards the Faroe Islands, that type of direction, and on a good night you'll see the most stunning northern lights that you can see on this side of the world, and everyone gets a chance to see them. You know, like people will move out of the window so you can see them and stuff. I'd love to do that. That's not necessarily traveling. It's really cheap to do as well. It's only like 50 quid or something. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I'd like to do that, and then other than that, I guess I'll see what it's like when I actually experience Asia for the first time, if it's my cup of tea. But I would love to see what Tokyo is like just for a day, and I'd also love to see what rural Japan is like too. Because Japan,
rural Japan sounds amazing. Yeah.
Do you know what as well? You know what way I was saying about the forest type thing? That would be awesome. But there's also, you know, that island that they filmed the James Bond movie, some of it on. That mining, it was set up as a mining colony out in the sea, like off the coast of Japan. You can only go there for 8 months of the year or something, and then the tides are too high for a boat to get in there, or the current is too tricky, or some water-based fact. But that'd be really cool because it's completely deserted. I'd love to do that urban exploration thing, but not so much in underground bits than just parts of the world that are literally uninhabited. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But trying to find places in the world that you can say relatively easily get to that are, you know, uninhabited is so difficult.
Yeah, I know. But
yeah, there can't be too many places that can be easily got at.
I think you'd be surprised.
Oh, really?
I would say there's plenty. Just thinking about like how much space there is in Ireland and England. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, that's true.
I think there would be.
I'd love to go to somewhere like Mongolia. I think Mongolia would be a hell of a place to go.
Any reason? Is there?
No, not really. There's no real particular reason. You know, I mean, part of it, I've always thought that Mongolia and kind of Kazakhstan and those kind of, I almost feel like kind of nowhere countries, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I always kind of feel like they'd be really interesting. And you know, I was watching The Long Way Round again recently, and you know, they go through Mongolia, and I found it such an interesting blend of kind of almost like Russia and China.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean, in terms of the language and the
culture and stuff.
The culture and the way that they, you know, people physically look. I think it'd just be really interesting to go there. In fact, just all over Europe and Asia, and Australia, and Americas, all at South Africa maybe, and Antarctica. Those would all be interesting, but that's just about it, really. You know.
Do we miss any continents out there? I don't think we missed any out, do we?
I really want to go see South Korea.
I don't think I did. No. North Korea would be a hell of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get in.
All right, guys, I'm not as hardcore as you. South Korea, get out of here.
Well, we could pose as
your north and your south. Yeah.
I was looking at a list of like the top sort of cities that feel like the most futuristic cities, basically. And well, Singapore was there, so that's pretty cool because, as you all know, I love futuristic, often dystopian, but doesn't have to be dystopian. As long as it's a nice looking futuristic city skyline, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm gonna be living in the future as well, you guys. I'll be like 9 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, that's true.
You
Yeah.
guys are gonna be
that's
stuck
true,
here in
yeah.
the past. I'm gonna be, you know,
Blazing it up
Damn
in the
you.
future.
texting you all the lotto results and stuff. Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Oh, that would be helpful. Please do.
Let's move on to space travel.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that would blow your fucking mind, wouldn't it?
Oh man.
You've
So
seen
fucking
like
bad.
the people that live in space stations and stuff like that, and that one guy in the space station who tweets photos of, or is he in a satellite or something?
I think it's all the same stuff, isn't it?
Is
Like
it-
they're
isn't
all
he
part of the
inside-
International Space
in
Station.
the International Space Station, yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy who tweets pictures of what Ireland looks like from space and stuff when it's all lit up, and it's really sublime. Like, you get such a great sense of what it must feel like when you look at a picture of what your country looks like from a distance. And I always think of the pale blue dot, the Carl Sagan thing, where it's like
yeah.
every war that every emperor has ever fought to try and conquer this, they're only doing it for this dot in the middle of fucking like, it's crazy. It's such a mind-blowing thing to just think of. Like, just the concept of it is crazy to me. But I think if I could go to space like that, it would just make me feel very complete, like in my...
Do you think in our
Yeah.
lifetime that space travel will be a thing or not?
Yep, I do.
Assuming
I
that
hope
we
so.
all
I really
live to
hope
like
so.
100.
No, I don't
Assuming
even
that-
think... I think in the next 20 years...
Oh, really?
I think in the next 20 years, rich people will absolutely be doing it.
What, just going all the time? Just into
No,
space?
not all the time, but I think
Oh.
it'll be a thing that's been done. I think there'll definitely have been a good few. You can quote me on that. Quote me on that number. There will have been a good few space tourists.
Well, you bet Kanye's
I
going.
hope so.
He's definitely going, isn't he?
I hope he
Oh,
doesn't.
yeah.
I hope he stays here.
I hope he goes and he never comes back.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to make that joke.
Yeah. I'm going to say that. That's not even a joke. That's a genuine thing.
Yeah, it feels like you're making fun of my family, so...
Just mocking your beliefs.
Yeah. I've always
It's weird, though,
been...
'cause, like in movies from like the 60s, they had us all in space now, didn't they? Or
Yeah.
even before now, you know.
Star Wars is set in 1996. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Who knew that? That's a weird. Yeah, it's actually a fact.
The thing that interests me the most about sci-fi is the idea of a sort of an intergalactic alignment of cities and stuff like that. Like, I think in Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, like, we all know it's a garbage movie, whatever. When they land the Padme's spaceship on that city where the guy goes, the whole planet is one big city, and you see like the flying cars and like, that's fucking cool. That's just a planet. That's a gigantic city that they just went to because they had the opportunity to do so, and
Yeah.
how freely available that is. It's my favorite thing about like the old Star Trek shows with what's his face, William Shatner and stuff, where they go to like a planet that's full of gangsters or a planet that's full of Nazis. Like they're ridiculous, but I love that there's different worlds that encompass different beliefs and stuff. And the same in Firefly. I think Firefly does it the best because you have really, really rich planets and really, really poor, like, Wild West planets, and that's just so cool the way they've done that entire show. It's amazing. But I love that idea of just an interplanetary, like the way we have countries, but they have planets. Like, that's just fucking cool, you know. I love the scene in Interstellar where one of the crew guys is feeling very homesick, and he's in his bunk, and McConaughey comes in and puts his earphones in like the other guy's ears, and then it zooms out and it shows you a long shot of the spaceship, and it's flying towards the wormhole, and you can hear the sounds of thunder and lightning and rain, and it's really, well, you don't hear the sound of lightning, whatever. It's really cool and really like poignant, I think.
Just ignore that bit.
Yeah. I'll cut that out, don't worry. I'll get my engineer to edit that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really I don't know. I think I'm very, very fascinated by the idea of space travel. Like,
Mm.
I wish it existed in my lifetime. It's something that I read that future timeline thing and how we're gonna have terraformed Venus in the next like 400,
Yeah.
500 years or something like that, and it makes me wish I could
Yeah.
live that long, or even just like hibernate. Not hibernate. What's the word? Be frozen in carbonite
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one.
for all that
I think
time.
I think if there's anything that will literally completely blow my mind, it will be being able to go to the moon. If I ever get a chance to blow my mind, I think I'd get there and I'd just wet myself and then die. That would be my experience of the moon. I'd be so excited, I'd wet myself and then die.
The problem is, I think
And it'd
a
be
lot of
so
people would
worth
do
it.
the same, and there'd be a lot of dead bodies on the moon. That's the NASA would have.
Just give them a little bit of a shove into space and then just let it happen.
If
Yeah,
you
a
think
lot
about
of
it, the
Europe.
moon is just a big sphere-shaped dead body. Like,
Yeah.
it's the dead body of outer space, really. Like, if Earth is a person, the moon is a corpse.
But it's our dead body. so-
Or it's like, the moon is like, you know when someone has a twin that never made it out and it's actually joined to them the whole time?
Yeah,
That's basically what the moon is.
yeah.
So, yeah. But no, I mean, it's still pretty cool and all. In its own kind of way.
Yeah, in some kind of little special way.
Yeah, I'd love to go to the sun. No, just kidding. I'm not that interested in the sun.
Then never come back.
Yeah, no, that would be great too. Yeah, no, space though. Imagine. Just
Space
imagine.
would be.
Didn't they found a
fuck.
planet quite recently that may, like, I mean, they do it all the time. They find Earth like planets in the Goldilocks quadrant or
Mm.
whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they found one quite recently that they're getting pretty excited about. So we'll find out in 200,000 years when the fucking
Yeah.
probe that
When,
we send
when
lands.
something arrives, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys see that thing about the weird lights that were appearing in the center of a planet in the Goldilocks region?
No.
It was a long
No.
time ago. I don't know if anything ever came of it. I was hoping, to be honest, I was hoping Jack would know and he would be all like, "Oh yeah,
You're
no,
hoping
yes.
I'd just follow that up and just be like, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, space terminology and various other
Yeah, I know
things."
things. Yeah.
Right, is there anything to be said for traveling by, like, submarine?
Do you know what? Funnily enough, I've kind of always been interested in travelling by submarine. You know, exploring the. You know, like there's one thing everyone really takes like air flight for granted, but at the end of the day, you are in a metal tube at 30,000 feet, hurtling through the atmosphere at 500 miles an hour. That's a
Yeah.
hell of a thing, but nobody really cares anymore. But if you were to say to someone, well, we're going to put you in a tube and just sink you in water for a bit, and then you're probably not going to go very fast, but you know, you're just going to be in the metal of the tube, and people would go like, what? That's weird.
Mm.
But, you know, I don't know, the idea of going into somewhere, I can imagine it would be very claustrophobic and terrifying for a whole number of reasons. But, no, I'd do it. I'd explore the depths, see what's down there.
There's a really cool song by Black Alicious called Release, and it's got Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine, but Saul Williams is in it, and it's like 10 minutes or something, the song is. But one of Saul Williams' lines in his verse is like, it's just like, to paraphrase, it's basically like, what the fuck, man? Like, if you think about it, looking at a plane, there is like no man-made thing in the world that is less likely to fly. If you think about it, it's a gigantic fucking like 7 million ton piece of metal, and you get catapulted towards like in a compressed metal cabin filled with other people's disease. It's crazy that that's the way that we travel. But yeah, no, I fucking love flying. I hate the queues in the airport and how stupid and tedious the whole thing is, but I mean, I respect that it makes me less likely to die, so I'm happy enough with that. But flying's awesome. I've gone on a ferry quite a few times, and that's really cool too. There's something amazing about being like sitting in an arcade or something while looking out at just a vast ocean, like with a horizon like so far away with no land in sight or whatever. That's really, really cool. But I really like the James Cameron thing of going to the bottom of the ocean in that pod thing and being able to see. I went to an aquarium like a couple of weeks ago, and it was nothing special or anything, but there was this cool part where you could sit in this like tiny submarine thing. I mean, it was made for kids, but I totally went into it anyway.
Sure.
Where it's like just water and fish surrounding you, like a proper aquarium.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Like, there's something amazing about the ocean. Like, it's, I don't know.
I thought you hated the ocean.
Oh no, fuck the ocean. But
yeah, but when it's contained, yeah, it's all great.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a restaurant in Dubai that's a big aquarium. Like, it's like fish and shit like that all around you. Like, it's under the ocean.
Huh.
And I think there's a whole hotel like that too. So you get fish and stuff like that in your room.
It is weird that as a like a race of people, we seem to want to go always higher, don't we? As in, like, build skyscrapers higher and higher, like apartments are going higher and higher, and we kind of are not like exploring the whole. There's a whole lot of water down there. We could just live in the water, Why not?
I don't believe that there's not some sort of secret, American experiment that already has people living down there.
Yeah, an underwater lair. Yeah.
Some sort of underwater people that the CIA has created.
I think we all know what's going on down there.
I think we do.
If we say, I get one more fucking cease and desist order from the American government, I'm gonna get Alex Jones on the podcast. He's gonna sort you all out. He's a crazy guy from Infowars. You know, the guy who like shouts about how 9/11 was an inside job and stuff like that.
Yeah, jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
I saw a thing the other day that was these protest 9/11 truthers, obviously because 9/11 was a few weeks ago, and they had this fucking what do you call it? Not a placard, a thing where two people are holding it and it folds out to unveil its message. A banner.
Yeah.
Fucking, that is why you're here. And it said the Trade Center didn't just blow itself up, and I was like, I know, that's what the planes did. Nobody is disputing that. The official story is not that they just blew themselves up.
Is that what they're going on then? They're believing that they just blew themselves up.
Like George Bush addressing the nation after, like, we don't know why, they just blew themselves up. Crazy. Let's invade Iraq. We believe it was them. Fucking, oh god, how could you, it's ridiculous, so disrespectful. But yeah, how did I get there?
I have no idea anymore.
The ocean.
Something about cease and desist from the US government.
You know the statement,
bastards.
we know more about the space than we do about the oceans?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you want some, like,
answers?
Maybe someone to just quantify that? Like, why is that a accepted fact? Like, what is it? Like, what do we know more about in space than we do about, like, what specifically? Like,
yeah, because we know a lot about fish, and there are no space fish, so, that doesn't make a great deal of sense, does it?
Like, we don't know how many planets there are, how many black holes there are, how many galaxies there are, how many instances of intelligent life there are. How do we know more about space than we do about the oceans? How is that true? I don't get it. I think it's just a thing that people say because
it sounds smart, but it's probably not true.
I think there's some statistical thing to it where there could, like, how could we have explored? No, it has to be bullshit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most of the Earth, we're 70% water, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So we'd think we know most of that, of what's going on down there. You think?
You'd think, but we really don't.
Do we
up until I think it was the 90s. And in fact, I'm not even sure today. Scientists can't explain certain ocean currents. They can't explain why they go the way that they do. It's 2015, and up until fairly recently, they couldn't explain why certain currents went the way that they did.
Because of the moon, idiots.
The moon.
Science, you fail again.
Well, Scorned by the thing that we understand more than the oceans. Damn.
Yeah. No, but it is. Yeah, I don't know. I'd
Isn't
like-
that the tide? Is it the tide? Is the current the same as the tide though?
No, it's different.
Yeah. So the tide is what is the moon though, isn't it?
The tide is
Mm.
the moon. Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
gravitational.
tide is
pull.
the moon,
Yeah.
but it's like the underwater movements that they don't understand. They think that it might have something to do with temperatures and saline density, but they're not sure.
They don't know why ice is slippery.
That can't be true. They must know why. It's
No, they know. Yeah, they know that. I'm sure they know that.
Why is it slippery?
It's something to do with its low. It's a word beginning with C. Cohesive.
No, there's no reason. They don't know why it's slippery.
No, yeah, it's
No,
the
you're
work
right.
of
Yeah, no,
people.
that's right. No, yeah. There's definitely no
Oh
way.
yeah, you're right. I can't remember the exact science behind it, so no, yeah, you're totally right.
That's it. The burden of proof is on you, my friend. I just make the statements. But yeah, no, I think like ultimately with traveling, I want to go really far out in space, please. So if you
Yeah.
could,
Yes, please.
yeah,
I think if we just make that happen sooner
Okay.
rather than later, that'd be just great, wouldn't it? Really, you know.
it would be really nice to just. Do you know what it is? It's No Man's Sky. That game is going to change my life. I cannot wait to play it. That's, like, that's what I'm looking for in life. That's everything that I need to express about my love of space and my fascination with science fiction is in that game, I think. So buy that in stores available soon, hopefully.
Well, they
But,
did describe space once as the final frontier, so I think that's.
Never
that's
heard
what
of
I'm saying. No, I can't remember who said it. Somebody said it.
it.
Quite a famous. Yeah.
Quite a famous astronaut.
Yeah. Did he go to the moon? Was it
Isn't
William
that
Shatner?
fucked up
It-
that like Captain Kirk is an astronaut?
Well, he's a captain, isn't he?
Well, he's an yeah, but captain. If you're the captain of the astronaut, are you not an astronaut?
He's the captain of the Enterprise, isn't he? I don't think. Is he an astronaut? I don't think he went to astronaut school. I think he went to sort of like.
Well, he's not a
Astronaut
cosmonaut,
school.
so
Well,
here to end the podcast with. Have you guys heard the song "The Long"? No, it's the band is the Long Winters. The song is "The Commander Thinks Aloud."
No.
It
No.
is really fucking harrowing. Like, it's a beautiful song and it's very uplifting, but ultimately it's soul destroying. It's about the, the shuttle. Was it called Columbia?
Yeah.
That broke
one
up
that
on
broke up,
re-entry. Yeah. It's about the commander's thoughts, what was going through his head at the time, and it starts off just describing the beauty and the vastness of space and stuff like that. And it ends with, like, I didn't actually know this, but they thought that they knew there was a problem with the shuttle and that they might not make it. It was something to do with the way that the crew compartment was sealed. There was something wrong with the seal that they used. And they knew that breaking up on re-entry was a possibility, but they were fairly fixed to go home. And like one of the lines in the song that like gives me this sort of weird feeling in my chest every time I hear it is, "Can you feel it? We're almost home." And then the next line, I think, is the crew compartment is breaking out, and it's really it's so strange to listen to because it's such an uplifting song, but it's such a fucking soul destroying thing to consider. Like, if you were on a shuttle and you thought there's a chance you might not make it, like when the first thing
man.
started to go wrong, that must have been so horrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of a worse.
Shit.
Well, I can. No, last week I spoke about drowning, so
Yeah.
Oh, drowning must suck.
yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, I can't imagine how much that'd suck.
So we started with death, and now we've ended with
Yeah,
death.
they're with death. Magical.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
will we end it?
I think so. I think that's a great place.
I think we can all agree that travelling is good
And death
Yeah.
is bad.
and death is bad. Yeah, that's the.
If anyone's wondering about travelling solo, feel free to tweet me any questions. I can't promise I'll answer, but you can try.
His Twitter will be in the description along with Loose Moore's.
Yeah, don't
More
tweet
importantly,
me
mine.
anything.
I think you guys should, give us a follow. I've lost a lot of followers lately because I haven't been uploading videos to YouTube, so, this has been episode 48. We'll see you next week with episode 49. May not be next week, maybe the week after, and then episode 50 will be soon after that, so if you want to suggest cool things that we can do, go ahead, we are all ears.
Yeah.
Till it's dark out, all dressed up, holding your receipts for the numbers that you picked. You in a box full of your mistakes and a leaden crucifix. Hearts were all made like they were balls of yarn. Well, they've all got the strings that get tugged on your heart. Some are different lengths, some would be stronger than others, and some would be the colors of your mothers and fathers. Structures stand the same as any older man. A place where something used to live, but in the end just turns cold. Am I a torn up, tattered, worn out piece of fabric, not suitable to stitch up around? 'Cause I'd like to be tightly braided, gold and silver bracelets, the type you like to wear around your wrist.
As you were telling that story about the Columbia thing, all I kept thinking about was Bruce Willis in Armageddon. I don't know why.
I think it's because you're a horrible person.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that, you know, he's a good person, Bruce Willis. You know, he chose he didn't get the short stick or whatever it was, but he still saved.
Bruce Willis didn't die for this.
Yeah. And Aerosmith didn't sing that song for this, you know.
I wish Aerosmith didn't sing that song at all.
Yeah. Imagine that song without the wind machine, though. Won't be the same, would it?
It would be really weird.
It would be.
It would be like, like Ben Stiller in Zoolander. The way he looks really ridiculous. That's what Steven Tyler would look like if his hair wasn't blowing around.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Well, next week's podcast we'll just talk about how the music video for I Don't Want to Miss a Thing is stupid.
Let's just talk about how pretty Liv Tyler is.
Yeah. It's weird that for years she didn't know that was her dad.
Yeah, that is pretty weird.
Like, and then I think, like, I read somewhere that she just sort of asked her mum, like, because she looked at Steven Tyler, like, on a music video or something, and then said, is that my dad? Or, like, they were talking about it, and then she said, is that my dad? And then, like, her mum was like, yes, that is your dad. And you think, what? Just, why? That's a really weird way to, like, admit that that's your father. And then, ever since he's, like, been a part of her life, and you think, well, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. My internet browsers are not working.